SAfm, South Africa's news and information leader.
Thank you, Kim. In the news, a report shows that SA's nuclear sites can withstand natural disasters, and British Prime Minister appears before an inquiry into press standards. Good afternoon. A report released by the National Nuclear Regulator shows that South African nuclear sites are robust enough to withstand natural disasters. The regulator called for assessments of the sites following the earthquake and tsunami which struck Japan in March last year, causing a severe nuclear meltdown. SABC's Rochelle Seaton-Rogers reports.
The report is based on safety assessments conducted at the country's two nuclear installations, Koeberg in the Western Cape and Safari 1 at Pelindaba Nuclear Research Facility in Pretoria. The operators, Eskom and Nexa, were ordered to conduct assessments of the sites to identify whether there are any design flaws or whether the sites are vulnerable to natural disasters, and if any modifications or features need to be implemented to improve the safety of the facilities. According to the report, the sites are adequately designed, maintained and operated to withstand all external events, and there are no findings to warrant curtailing operations at the sites. The NNR says the Fukushima Daiichi plant in Japan had shown some design flaws which made it vulnerable to disasters such as the earthquake and tsunami. Rochelle Seaton-Rogers, SABC News, Centurion.
The newly appointed National Police Commissioner, Ria Pierra, says she acknowledges the huge task ahead of her. Pierra also says she is looking forward to wearing her blue uniform to look like her compatriots. She was addressing a press conference in Pretoria.
We are ready to take the baton. I acknowledge the huge and overwhelming task that lies ahead as I join a team of great men and women in blue. Alone, we can do so little, but together we can do so much. This is, however, a responsibility we should take with both hands, soldiering on in delivering on the mandate of South Africans, the mandate that has been entrusted upon us.
Pierra was appointed on Tuesday as the country's first female police commissioner. President Jacob Zuma says developing the country's public transport system will come at a cost to commuters. Zuma has spent the day testing Gauteng's public transport system, boarding a metro rail train from Pretoria to Rhodes Field and a Gautrain to Johannesburg Park Station, as well as a Rea Vaya bus to Soweto. Zuma says the country needs faster trains, but the service cannot be free.
There's one thing we must learn, that development needs to come, and it cannot be free, it is costly. Because people have been complaining about the Gautrain, but the manner in which it has brought economic development is amazing. Now, some people want us to stay at the metro rail. It's in fact affecting production, because workers arrive at work many hours late. So that affects the economy generally.
Zuma's comments come at a time when government prepares for a constitutional court battle to implement the Gauteng e-tolling system. This after the system was halted by a lower court. South Africa's economy is dangerously close to negative economic growth if the current growth continues to trend downwards. This according to the latest BankServe Africa Economic Transaction Index, the BETI. Chief economist at economist.co.za, Mike Schussler, says the good news is that South Africa is definitely not yet in a recession.
The BankServe Africa Betty shows us the amount of transactions in the economy, and they cooled off quite sharply in June. And what we're seeing at the moment is a growth rate that's basically halved. So where the Betty was growing just over 3%, indicating about a 2.5% growth, we're now to about 1.8%. We now expect only around 1.5% growth for the second quarter of this year. We are probably now at a greater risk of recession, about a 20 to 25% weighting, and has certainly increased since the start of the year.
In other parts of the world, the British Prime Minister David Cameron is appearing before an inquiry into press standards to answer questions about his contacts with the media tycoon Rupert Murdoch. It's also expected to look at Cameron's relationship with a number of Murdoch's top executives. The inquiry follows revelations of widespread phone hacking by his News International group.